Okay, you guys, I'm going to be doing a collaboration here on YouTube with a couple of my friends, with Kristana from Bella Rinnovare by Kristana. Go give her a follow. And then my friend Christina Mascari from Pretty Distressed. Go give her a follow as well. And the challenge that we're doing is we all received a mystery box from Dixie Belle Paint, and I don't know what's in this box. So I'm going to open it with you guys here on camera. So let's take a look at what we've got inside this box. Okay, it looks like Christmas in here. This is what I've got. Oh, okay. Gold Digger, you guys. From the Moonshine Metallics collection, this is Gold Digger, which is a beautiful, rich gold. Okay, I'm inspired. Love it. Oh, interesting. Chocolate. All right, we have Gold Digger and chocolate. Oh, iron patina paint, you guys. Okay, you gotta, if you're gonna do patina, you gotta have the patina spray. So the patina paint actually has metal in the paint, and then this is the corrosive spray that corrodes the metal in the paint. So with iron, you get a natural rust with your paint. Caviar, okay, that's a good one. That's a nice classic. I like that. Oh, burlap. Okay, that's pretty. That's a little bit lighter. I like that I've got a lot of kind of in the same color family, but they're all different tones. Oh, cotton. That one throws me off a little bit. Cotton's a pure white. Oh, I probably should have seen this first. Okay, here's what it says. It says, 2020, you're toast. Brandy, Happy New Year. What better way to celebrate than refresh a piece? Please use the below products and inspiration photo to complete your project. Oh, your inspiration photo is, it's toasted marshmallows. That's my inspiration. I can run with that inspiration. Definitely gonna need this. Oh, okay, the gemstone mousse in gold, what's this, golden gem. I think it's a shot glass. Is this for champagne? Okay, gemstone mousse in copper. This is amber, which is a copper color. I've cleaned out my box. How fun was that? We are all empty and we are ready to go. So what do you guys think? Are your wheels turning? My wheels are turning. All right, I will see you guys back here with a piece, and we're gonna put all these products to use. Happy New Year. All right, you guys, I'm super excited for this challenge. My inspiration again is toasted marshmallows. I chose this piece here because it basically has a flat front that I can use paint to emphasize rather than worrying about having moldings or details in my way. I started out on day one by first removing my hardware and then cleaning my piece really well with Dixie Belle White Lightning. I'm showing you the rag so that you can see that this piece is not wiping dirty like it's a bleeder. I believe it's made of maple, which is a wood that's not known for bleeding. I then rinsed my piece with water to remove any cleaning residue. The top drawer on this piece originally had bar handles that didn't match the rest of my hardware, so I'm going to go ahead and patch those holes with some Dixie mud and replace those two handles with some knobs. I'm applying the wet Dixie mud right into my hardware holes. I'm going to go ahead and work it into the hole. I make sure and overfill my holes a little bit because Dixie mud will sink a little bit into the holes as it dries. Because I've assessed my piece and I don't feel like it's going to need any sort of primer, I can go ahead and go right into my painting step. I'm going to apply a base coat of Dixie Belle burlap. This is not an integral part of my finish. I'm using it mostly just to cover up the wood and so that this lovely stencil doesn't show through my paint. I'm using a mister bottle of water and a synthetic bristle brush to lay my paint on. This will help my paint glide on extra smooth and give me a nice base to lay my decorative finish on top of. You can see even this fairly light color gets excellent coverage over this wood. Bye-bye, stencil. We are just about ready to wrap up day one. I've got all my repairs made, my hardware holes are filled, my piece has been cleaned, and I've got a base coat of paint on. Here's what my piece looks like at the end of day one. Okay, here's the mud that we applied yesterday, and it's nice and dry today to the touch. Now, a couple things I want to show you why I overfill when I'm filling hardware holes with mud. You can see in the centers of these, it has dimpled a little bit. It shrinks a little bit on the holes, so that's why I overfill my mud when I'm filling holes. I'm going to take my Surf Prep sander. It's got a 320 grit paper on there, and I'm just going to sand this down lightly till I get the top of the surface. And then I'm going to come back and hand sand it because I don't want to go overboard with my electric sander. If you need to, you can always go back and add another coat of Dixie mud to get it perfectly smooth. With a coat of paint on this, you'll never even know these holes existed. Okay, so for this piece, I'm going to go ahead and use a cross-hatching texture. So I'm going to take the 5 colors that were given in my mystery bag, and we're going to start cross-hatching them together. Now I'm going to start down at the bottom with my darkest color, which in this case is Caviar. I've got multiple brushes out. These are my Dixie Belle Minis, and I'm going to use roughly 1 brush for each color. And I'm going to start with my Caviar. I'm going to do 2 coats on this piece with basically the same technique. So it is quite an arm workout, and I'm just going to ever so lightly fill my brush. I'm just going to use my lid in this case, and then I'll just brush it off on the lid, just enough that I can get a very nice dry brush out of that. And then I'll refill my brush, and you'll notice I'm brushing vertically and then horizontally. Fill my brush vertically and horizontally. With my final look, I will have more of my darker colors, which is my chocolate and my Caviar down at the bottom. And it will slowly get lighter as we go towards the top. And it's going to look almost like a tweed fabric. And this first coat is going to be the coat where it looks scary. It's going to look more messy, like you're unsure of the direction that you're going, and you've got to get through that step. So I'm going to do 2 coats the same way on this piece. I did put a base coat of burlap on here, and that base coat of burlap is for coverage, just because I don't want my wood peeking through. So it's not really important. You know, that could have even been another color. I just really want it so that my wood's not peeking through on my paint finish. Okay, so we'll just work 1 small section, and then I'm going to come back with my chocolate. So I'm going to use a different brush this time. Ever so light on the paint. I'm going to use my lid even, and then I'm going to lay it onto my piece. And I'm going to carry the chocolate up a little bit higher. You can see how light those brush strokes are. I'm using a very light hand. And I'm just going to layer it right over the areas where my Caviar are. And this, you start getting a layering of the colors, and you start seeing that woven texture that's going to come through. So by the time I've done this on my entire front with 5 colors, you'll start seeing this look come together. And then I will let it dry overnight, and I will come back and repeat the process with my second coat. We've got 2 colors. Let's go ahead and do our next one, which is going to be the burlap. And I'm going to go heavier on the burlap up top, and it's going to get lighter as we go down to the bottom. Fair warning, this finish involves about 1,000,000 brush strokes. It's fairly labor intense, but it's worth it in the end because it really comes together with the layers and the texture in the brush strokes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up this coat. I'll get the entire front of this piece done in the same finish using my 5 colors, repeating this process, and then we'll come back and do our second coat together tomorrow. Pause for a moment. I want to show you what I'm doing right here. I'm going to take the Dixie Belle Gemstone Mousse in Amber, which is a copper color, and I'm going to add a little bit of water to it on a paper plate. I'm going to use this and apply it with a chip brush in the cross-hatching pattern, just like I am with the paint. This is going to mix in a little bit of metallics that will peek through on my final coat and give me a little bit of sparkle. I also want to assure you that this finish is in its ugly phase, and its ugly phase is longer than most. But the beauty in this finish is in the layers of color and the texture in the brush strokes. Once I finished weaving in my gemstone mousse in amber, I repeated the same process using the moonshine metallics and gold digger, so I had some gold and copper that will peek through my ending finish. And here we are at the end of day 2. The ugly phase is complete. Oh, and beware on this one. I did end up using a brush for each color, so a lot of cleanup is involved. Okay, so here's what our basic looks like after our first coat, and it's a little bit crazy. This is a scary phase, especially with this paint finish. It's got some beautiful textures and layers in here, but it's probably a little more adventurous than a lot of people are ready for. And so we're going to tone it down a little bit on this coat. And these are going to just be under layers that you kind of see peeking through. And the way we're going to do that is with water. So I'm going to repeat this process, only now I'm going to involve a little bit of water. So it ends up basically being a color wash of the same colors over the top of these. So this time I'm going to reverse my order. Last time we started with our dark colors down at the bottom. This time I'm going to start with my lighter colors up at the top. So I'm just going to use, again, a super soft hand, but this time I started with a little mist of water. And it basically ends up being a color wash over the top of my paint. So that little bit of water helps my paint go a little bit further than our initial dry coat did. But you can still see those colors peeking through from underneath in that cross-hatching pattern. And I'm going to do this with all 5 of my colors, just like I did on my base coat. I do need to warn you at this phase, I say fluff at least 100 times, but it's actually cotton that I'm using. Both are Dixie Belle whites. Now each brush stroke also picks up a little bit of the texture because I'm using so many brush strokes in this finish. It also is a nice rich textured finish. So it starts picking up a little bit of the texture from the strokes underneath it. And you can already see in just that first color, and I still have 4 more to go, how it really starts neutralizing this paint finish. I do want to bring some of my fluff down at the bottom, but it is going to start lightening up as we get lower because that's where it's going to be heavier on my darker colors. And I will, with this finish, come back. So even after I've done my darker colors, if I want to add a little bit more fluff in some spot, I can come back and just do a couple strokes just in the lighter color, just to even it out a little bit. All right, once I've got that one nice and layered on, my next darkest color is my Dixie Belle Burlap. I've already got some water on my surface, so I probably don't need a whole lot with this color. So I'm just going to go ahead and cross hatch it in, mixing it in with that fluff, brushing it over top. And it really softens up all those layers underneath. I will come back, and I already can see at the top that I want some more of that fluff going through the top. I lost a little bit of my white, and I really want to keep that kind of pure up at the top. That's going to be my lightest portion on this finish. A little bit of water as I get down lower. And already, like, my base coat of the burlap has pretty much disappeared. You can't even really tell I have that on there. That was just for coverage to get rid of the wood peeking through, because I know no matter what, I don't want to have any wood peeking through. So color wash is a technique where you mix the paint with some water to create a very light and airy coat over the top. And you can either wipe it back away. In this case, I'm just using the water. I'm washing it with a thin coat of my paint. So I'm coming back with my fluff because if you'll remember, I did say I wanted to lighten this up a little bit at the top. Now I don't want it to be perfectly even all the way across, so I may just do this corner over here a little bit lighter. And I still have these really cool areas of texture, like this one right here is a good example where I've got my darker colors peeking through and that fluff caught some really good texture in my paint. Got this one right here, which is underneath the burlap, and those darker colors are peeking through. Just very light brush strokes, and that water helps you to not be able to see the brush strokes as much in this coat. All right, let's come down here at the bottom and layer in some of those darker colors again. So we'll come back with my chocolate. I'm using a very soft hand. I just want it to get ever so slightly darker, and then that little bit of water, so it's just a very soft coat. Making sure that I don't overbrush my paint because I've got this water and so many colors on the surface that it can start getting muddy and just looking like one mixed color. And I don't want to lose all these little layers that I've got peeking through from underneath. So a little bit, oh, got a dark streak in my chocolate. So how I would correct that is I would just come back with a lighter color and brush over it right over the top. So I'm going to use a little bit of my fluff, and that camouflages that right away. So that's an easy fix. If you get a little too heavy-handed on one color, you just come back and fix it with another color. And then let's get a little bit of my caviar. So my caviar is really going to be for down here at the bottom. So I really want it to be nice and dark in some of these crevices. And just kind of peeking through. My paint's a little wet down here. I may need to let it dry because I don't want to lose that streaky effect. But just a very, very, very soft brushing. It's a little heavy with the horizontal, so I want to get some vertical strokes going in here. And then I'll get a little bit darker as I go down here onto my legs. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry, and my next step on this is I'm going to come back and I'm going to weave in some of my patina paint and some of my metallics into this finish as well. But this is kind of what my finish technique is going to be, where I've got this cross-hatching texture with little bits of color peeking through from underneath, but it's softened by the color wash that goes over the top. We've reached the end of day 3 and our decorative finish is complete. This is where you can really see the intricacy of this finish. I left my paint finish to dry overnight and came back the next day to work on the inside of my piece and some hardware. At some point in its life, someone had marked this drawer with some names in it in Sharpie. I can use my Surf Prep sander and sand those right out. That's the benefit of wood drawers. With some Big Mama's Butter, it gives uniformity back to the wood color. Working on the drawers, I also found these markings underneath, almost 70 years old and getting a new lease on life, and also this mark from the Carpenters Union. With my drawer boxes and glides all oiled up with Big Mama's Butter, I can start on my hardware. This is where I'm going to use my iron patina paint. This is going to create a natural rust finish on my hardware. I started out by applying 1 coat of caviar and then 2 coats of my iron patina paint, followed by a mist of my patina spray. I left my patina paint to work its magic overnight and came back the next day to spray it with a clear coat of acrylic sealer. Remember the hardware holes we filled in the beginning? I now need to drill new holes for my knobs. I'm also going to add iron patina paint to the body of my piece. This is going to make it look like the iron hardware is dripping down the front. I'm applying the patina paint around each of my hardware holes using a silicone basting brush. The basting brush is going to give it this really cool scratching effect. Once I've got a little bit of my patina paint scratched around each of my hardware holes, I came back and sprayed it with a little bit of my patina spray. I wiped away the excess patina spray with a rag, but this is where you're going to notice that a happy accident happened and my green patina spray stained some of my white paint to a teal. I say happy accident because this reminded me of my original inspiration, the toasted marshmallows on the flame. You can often see colors of teal and indigo in flames, so it was perfectly in keeping with my inspiration. With my paint finish complete, I came back the next day on day 5 to apply my clear coat. I chose Dixie Belle Satin Clear Coat for this piece. In my opinion, it's the most user-friendly of the clear coats. I'm applying it using a damp blue applicator sponge. I apply by wiping on in long, even linear strokes across the front of my piece. After 2 coats of satin clear coat, this piece is complete and ready to photograph. I'd like to say a sincere thank you to Dixie Belle Paint, Christina Mascari of Pretty Distressed, and Kristana from Bella Renovare for letting me be a part of this challenge as we ring in the new year for 2021. You can find links for all the products we use in the description of this post. I hope you'll click the subscribe button. You can find more Brush by Brandy on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest as well.